Elvis, a lot of these people going out here to see you today. A lot of the secretaries that work at the air
It's fantastic.
Great. Good.
Get the car, get the car.
Elvis! Elvis!
Okay. Take off.
What's up, guys? Welcome to this video on Elvis is the Man. So this fantastic footage came out a few months ago. I never actually publicly commented on it and gave you my thoughts as well as the stories that surround this time period in Elvis's life, but I'd like to do that today. This footage was from an airport in St. Louis, Missouri, June 28th, 1973. Elvis was 38 years old, and this was only a few months after the Aloha from Hawaii broadcast in America. Elvis was in the middle of a 14-day tour and was set to perform in the Kiel Auditorium that night. I think I pronounced that right, as Kiel. If you notice here, Elvis is wearing his karate gi, which was his fashion at the time. He wore it a lot in 1973, especially around this time, because 1 month earlier in April, he was awarded the 7th degree black belt, by Kang Rhee. So Elvis was very, very proud of this. So he wore that belt with him all the time. It was something Elvis always wanted to achieve. He actually got up to 8th degree black belt. And, you know, whether that was a total legitimate belt for Elvis, that's up for debate. But a lot of Elvis's instructors, like Ed Parker and Kang Rhee, says that he was worthy of all his awards. Just like in 1971, where Elvis was awarded the JC's Award, which was, he was one of the 10 outstanding young men in America. 1971, he was 36. Remember, he wore that award everywhere he went, pretty much. He always had it around his neck in 1971. So this was something similar. He wanted to show it off.
Out here to see you today. A lot of the secretaries that work at the air.
It's fantastic.
Great. Good.
Get the car, get the car.
So while watching this footage, one thing that irritated me was that guy that was patting Elvis on the shoulder there. It's like, get in the car, get in the car. Like, I don't recognize that guy, but who are you to tell the king to get in the car like that? I mean, I'm sure he probably didn't mean anything by it, but I was like, what the heck, who are you talking to like that? And another thing is, you know, Elvis was in a rush here. He really didn't talk to fans at the airport too much, you know. I mean, there's some Elvis on tour footage where it shows that he talked, but, you know, that wasn't really the spot. I was kind of surprised that those fans were able to get a heads up on Elvis being dropped off there. But, you know, Elvis was very polite and cordial. You know, he didn't really respond to the rest of the reporter's question. You know, he just said, oh, fantastic that they're here, and he just gets right in the car. Limo. Another theory about why that guy was telling him to get in the car quick was that he knew that Elvis was not in his right mind. He wasn't in the best place. If you could tell by this time, he'd already gained a few pounds. He's probably the heaviest he'd been since Paradise Hawaiian Style. You might notice his speech was a bit slurred. I mean, just not, you know, like his tongue was a little thick. It's hard to tell there, but that may be going on. You know, this wasn't a great time in Elvis's life. He actually overdosed twice this year. Once was early in February, and actually once was later this day. Elvis was having a lot of problems, and in one of his hospitalizations this year, when Elvis was in the hospital at Baptist Memorial, detoxing from a Demerol addiction. That's another story. But Joe Esposito and some of the Memphis Mafia members went back to Graceland just to try to see what Elvis was taking, because it was getting serious and people were starting to get scared for Elvis. And it was beginning to become apparent to the public that something was going on with Elvis. Anyway, they went back to Graceland. They found 3 huge jars of unmarked pills. We know that, you know, Dr. Nick gave Elvis pills, but Dr. Nick, you know, I believe closely monitored Elvis's pill intake and eventually got to the point where he gave Elvis packets like Attack 1, Attack 2, Attack 3, so he could strictly monitor what Elvis was taking, because Dr. Nick describes Elvis was the type of guy that, like, if you say, here, take 2 pills, you feel better in the morning, Elvis took 5 because he wanted to feel better, like, right then. So he wasn't the most responsible guy with taking pills. right when this tour got over, Elvis started to do some recording at Stax. Now this recording session was actually canceled before he had completed all his takes because he was supposed to do another album, a couple singles, and then another religious album. But it was closed early because Elvis wasn't in the best place mentally or physically. A few people comment on it. Some of the musicians that were actually there at Stax Studio in Memphis, one of the session players was a drummer that did some drumming for Elvis from the 1969 American Sound studio sessions. So this drummer hadn't seen Elvis in 4 years, and he said, "This was the first time I saw Elvis fat, and he was slurring his speech." Now, Elvis wasn't fat here in 73, according to American male standards, at the time. He's in better shape than most people. But for Elvis, yes, that was very overweight. This picture here is with Jimmy Carter before he became president. This was the day after this footage was filmed. So even though he had some problems, he was able to recover drastically by the time he met Carter. This tour was actually a very, very good tour, and there's some very interesting footage from it. I'd like to show it to you. You could tell he's a bit overweight, but he was totally energetic, giving great performances. Guys, 1973 was a very tumultuous year for Elvis. Highs and lows. The highs, obviously, Aloha from Hawaii, a #1 album, but he also had a couple overdoses. That footage that you just saw was from the summer tour of 1973. This footage came from the middle of that. I hope you enjoyed my take on this footage. If you have, hit the like button, helps to grow and expand the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Leave me a comment down below.